Oh, glorious day, my friends, E3 is nearly upon us, and I feel like singing. I won't, though. You don't deserve to be treated like that. Okay, maybe a little. The hills are alive. As always, it's Nintendo I'm most excited about, and with the Switch doing as well as it's doing, it is a great time to be a Nintendo fan. So let's talk about what we can probably expect to see at the big show this year, and touch on one or two of the biggest rumors as well. So let's go! Let's go to the thing I'm talking about. It's over here. So first things first, I'm gonna give you a little disclaimer, or I don't know, not really disclaimer, I don't know, just a thing. First things first, I'm gonna say a thing to you. I am not going into this presentation with a lot of big expectations. Like, I know most people are. I mean, like, everyone I see talking about it, they're all like, I'm expecting something huge here, as big as last year, if not bigger. But I'm not, and a lot of that, okay, well, part of it is because I've got a lot of pessimistic tendencies, and last year was so good that I'm just like, oh, there's no way. There's no way it could possibly be even half as good. Mostly it's because we already know about so many games that are coming up. You know, like some of the games that were announced last year. Like for the second half of this year, we've got Smash, we've got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, we've presumably, unless they get delayed, got Fire Emblem and Yoshi. That's a lot of stuff for the second half of this year. And then even beyond that, like next year, presumably, potentially Metroid Prime 4, and the other new Pokemon, and Bayonetta 3. And like those are, you know, okay, Metroid and Pokemon, pretty big. Pokemon's the biggest, Metroid's the next one down, Bayonetta's maybe the next one down. I don't know, but like that's still some pretty big hitters for next year. So it's like, I don't know exactly how many more big titles we can expect, you know, to like really surprise us this year. I mean, we'll definitely see something. We will see some announcements, we always do. But I could easily see like all the titles that we know about already kind of being like maybe like one more big announcement and then mostly held up by like more ports and more budget titles. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just we already know about so much that I'm going into this one. I'm my somewhat guarded optimism. I feel like it'll probably be a pretty good presentation, you know, just like good, like solid, still pretty good, but not like mind-blowing like before. I don't know, they already revealed a lot of their mind-blowing cards. Anyway though, more specific predictions about what we might see are later though. Right now, let's talk about the games. We're gonna talk about the obvious ones, like the stuff that we will absolutely see this year. Smash Brothers. This is going to be the year of Smash Brothers. Like a tremendous amount of the presentation is going to be about it. We're going to have character reveals. We're going to have new features, maybe even some developer interview stuff. It's going to take up a really big chunk of the show. I mean, like Nintendo, you know, during their E3 announcements, they were just like, you know, watch us at E3 2018 presentation. Smash Brothers! Don't forget Smash Brothers. It's about Smash Brothers. There's a lot of Smash Brothers stuff. This is kind of a prediction, but I will say it here that I believe the show will open with a character reveal. You know, they're gonna start the presentation, swing swung. We're gonna get a little, you know, the little thingy that tells you, oh, you're about to see a character. I just wouldn't be surprised if that's what they did. I don't know if they will. That's kind of a half prediction. Anyway, lots and lots about Smash Bros. I wouldn't be surprised if like a quarter or a third of the entire thing was taken up by Smash Brothers, and the hugeness of Smash is another thing that makes me feel like there might not be a lot of other stuff. Like I could really easily see Nintendo riding on Smash so hard this year that they don't really feel like they need to bring a lot more to the table. I certainly hope that they do. I could just see it happening a little bit like Breath of the Wild at E3 2016. Obviously, in that time, they only had Breath of the Wild. They didn't even have a whole show. It's not going to be that extreme, but you know, like Smash is going to be their baby. Smash is going to be their thing. Everything else will probably be somewhat secondary, but I don't know, I could be wrong. Then of course there's Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. They did have their own entire Pokemon presentation a week or two ago or whatever. So, you know, I don't expect to see a whole lot, but it would be a little weird if they didn't at least mention it, you know what I mean? Bring on the Pokemon guys, maybe even give us another update about the future one. I don't know, like I could see us getting a more deep demonstration on Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, maybe showing off a few more features, maybe some of the little bits of info that they mentioned after the reveal, but they didn't show in the reveal. They kind of got together and, you know, gave us some more info. So I don't know, it would be weird if it didn't at least get a mention. So like I'm pretty darn sure it'll it'll be in there in some capacity. Mario and Tennis Aces, I'm almost sure it'll be in the presentation. I don't think it'll take up much though, or at least I'm hoping that it won't. I could just see like one last trailer, kind of like the launch trailer, really showing us all the, I don't know, just like the story mode and all that stuff. Really one last trailer to really get us on board. It shouldn't be too much, seeing as it comes out just like a few weeks after E3. So it would be weird if they, you know, devoted too much of the presentation to it. So I do expect to see it though. Okay, so here's where things get weird. Yoshi. This is a weird one. This is very interesting. So they announced it last year at E3, and then we have seen literally nothing. I mean, to my knowledge, not even one single individual snippet of info since then for an entire year, which is especially weird for a I don't know, just another Yoshi platformer. I mean, it looks really cool, but like it's not like Metroid or Pokemon or something or Mario. It's Yoshi, so it's a little surprising. Although I guess I can't really say how it should or shouldn't be with a Yoshi game, seeing as it from reveal to release of Woolly World was like a trillion million years. So I don't know. It just feels kind of weird. I think it's like a 99% guarantee that we're gonna get like a full reveal, another trailer, maybe a release date. I hope a release date. If there isn't a release date, then it's probably not coming this year. But and like I want to believe it'll still come this year. I think there is still a chance that they could reveal it at E3, you know, do the full blowout this E3 and then reveal it a few months later. Nintendo doesn't usually roll that way though. With their like major IPs, they usually give them, I don't know, at least like half a year or something for us to chew on them. So it doesn't seem super likely, but then it's still just Yoshi. I don't really know, but really just the lack of info. It just makes me slightly wary. It was just kind of weird. Like they revealed Kirby, and then like the next Nintendo Direct, there was a little more info and a name, and then the next one, the release date, and then it came out. And then Yoshi was just like, here's Yoshi, and let's not talk about it for a while. I don't know. Pretty weird. We will see though. I'm sure we will at least see it though. I just hope it comes this year. And okay, Fire Emblem is a more extreme version of Yoshi. Not literally though, like the gameplay. I mean, both game series are basically the same gameplay when you look at them. Fire Emblem's just a more extreme version of Yoshi. No, the situation is a more extreme version of Yoshi. We saw Fire Emblem, a teaser in the January presentation last year, a year and a half ago. And again, to my knowledge, it's the same thing as Yoshi. Nothing. No follow-up trailer, no info, I don't believe. And if there was any info, it wasn't anything really, really concrete. Just nothing for a year and a half, and yet at the time they were telling us it was coming in 2018, and it just like with Yoshi, it feels less likely. It feels even less likely just because we haven't even seen a trailer. And like, are they really gonna just be like, reveal it in June and then release it in August? Like, it doesn't seem super likely. I mean, it could be for Christmas, but even that, considering we haven't seen anything on it, seems kind of unlikely. So I don't know. Could this be the first Switch game that is delayed past its initial launch window? I certainly hope not, because I'm pretty sure we're still a basically perfect record right now. I don't know. I really hope so. It would be weird to not at least hear about it. Even if we got a trailer and it was announced officially for 2019, if it did get delayed, it would still be weird if we did not at least get a trailer or some info or something. I think we're pretty guaranteed to see some Fire Emblem here. Hey, I don't know. It's already surprised me how long it's been, so who even knows at this point? You can't really say for sure about anything, ever. So the biggest question, obviously, will we see more Metroid Prime 4? Can we expect that to be in the list of games that Nintendo tells us? My guess is no. Unfortunately, I do not want to feel that way, but that's what my gut is telling me right now. I could see it being like a Breath of the Wild situation where they revealed Breath of the Wild and then like the next year they were like, we don't have anything else to tell you or show you, so we won't even mention it. And that was really painful, by the way. I don't know if you were paying attention to Nintendo at that time, but that was just like, oh, that was a shot in the gut. Wait, no, you're not getting anything. I could just see it happening again. We only saw a teaser. I mean, the teaseriest of teasers. It was just a logo. It wasn't even like vague little bits of game art. It was just, so I really don't know when they started it. Yeah, my gut is telling me no. If we did get something, I feel like it would be another teaser. And actually, like, I could kind of I could see it in that kind of Nintendo way where they don't always exactly know how people are going to react. I could see them being like, oh, we gave them a teaser last year and they went bonkers and thought it was great, so they give us like another teaser this year, and then everybody gets super mad, and then they're like, what did we do? That would be funny, but I don't think so. My guess is no, and we'll see. I definitely hope I'm wrong, but I think they won't even mention it. I think if they do mention it, it'll be like, we are still working on Metroid Prime 4. Please stay tuned. Probably not, though. I bet we go the whole presentation, don't even see it. Please be wrong. Please be wrong, Arlo. Please. Full gameplay reveal. Please. Please, Arlo, be wrong. It's gonna be like a 5-minute gameplay demo with a demo releasing in the eShop that day and the game releasing the next day. That's gonna happen, I'm sure. Actually, yeah. Changes that. That's my new expectation. Kind of the same thing with Bayonetta 3. We pretty recently got that teaser reveal. That was same kind of thing, just a little animation with the logo. That was in December at the Game Awards. So the fact that we only got that little teaser so recently makes me feel like there's a really good chance we won't see anything about Bayo 3, and it probably won't come this year. It is technically possible, though, that they didn't want to show anything on it because they didn't want to interfere with the hype for the ports, which they announced at the same time. I mean, for a lot of people, Bayo 2 didn't sell a ton on the Wii U, so it's possible that they were like, we really want to hype 1 and 2 on the Switch, so we don't want to interfere with that by revealing this big Bayonetta 3. So yeah, it's technically possible that that's why they did a teaser, and they actually had a lot more to show us than they showed us. But again, my gut says no. I feel like we're gonna go in there, probably not get any info on Bayonetta 3. Could be wrong, hope I'm wrong, but that's where I'm at right now. I tell you, I'm pretty pessimistic. So then we got a list of third-party games and one first-party game where they're coming out pretty soon in the future. So there's a pretty good chance that we'll at least get a little bit of a mention, but I don't really expect a ton, and I also kind of hope for not really a ton, just because anything that's coming out that close after E3 is like, don't even bother giving us a huge thing. Don't waste presentation time on it. The list I have here is Crash Bandicoot, Insane Trilogy, Wolfenstein 2, Octopath Traveler, Captain Toad, and Dark Souls. All of those are in like June and July or something. I guess a couple of them might still say summer, but probably not very long after E3. They'll probably get mentions though. Wolfenstein 2 might get a bigger thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Wolfenstein 2 got a release date, because it's really getting on in years. It's getting on in age. I feel like we should get one soon. Dark Souls Remastered, that just came out like on the other systems, so I would definitely hope that by now we at least had a release date. And then like Captain Toad, we don't need to see a whole lot on that. We already saw so much about it on the Wii U. Give us just like a brief little thing. It's not that important. Crash, out of all these games, I would say that Crash probably deserves the most showing, just because like it as a game is like really, it's pretty well tailored to the Nintendo market. It's a colorful mascot platformer, little bite-sized levels. It's the perfect kind of thing to play on the Switch. So if they're gonna give anything a good showing, I'd probably make it that. Octopath Traveler is definitely, probably, at least for me, the biggest on this list. But we've already seen so much about it already. If they were going to show anything, maybe just like one last trailer. I really don't want them to go on and on and on about it. We want the game. We all want the game. You don't need to do anything else. Everybody and their mother already wants to play this game, and it's coming out pretty darn soon. I believe July. So yeah, I hope not too much of the presentation is dedicated to that, or really any of those games. Just a little bit, just enough, just enough to give us all one last taste before they come out. Probably the only other exclusive that they're like pretty well guaranteed to talk about is No More Heroes: Travis Strikes Again. Just because, that's a well, I don't know, second party, whatever. It's an exclusive game. I think a release date is fairly likely. Definitely not guaranteed, but it seems like the kind of thing that'll make at least an appearance at the show. So that's pretty cool. That looks like a really weird game. I don't really know much about those games, but I know that there are some people that are pretty passionate about them. So I don't know. Give us a date. I want a date. Then, of course, I do expect more third-party games. Again, I will give more specifics in my prediction section. But we know we'll get at least like 1 or 2 more third-party ports. You know what I mean? I expect more from Bethesda and Ubisoft. Bethesda has been supporting the Switch very well. I mean, I don't know if it's been returning a lot of money or if they're just like, no, these haven't sold well enough. Wolfenstein is it. I don't know. I don't really expect that. They've been throwing so much at it. I expect something, at least one other thing from Bethesda. They've got such a huge library of games to work with and port over, and something from Ubisoft too. I'm not expecting any exclusives. I know Ubisoft gave them Rabbids last year, and that was cool, but I don't expect either company to, really go all in with an exclusive yet. It is possible, and I certainly hope so, but I just see more ports. I see more ports from these companies, maybe a couple others. I mean, I don't know. The Switch has been doing well long enough that it is possible that people are starting to be like, okay, like we've been developing our our exclusive games for it for long enough. I don't know. I can certainly hope, but not expecting it. There's a pessimism thing again. I think it'll just be some more ports. And you know what? I'm into ports. I'm into ports from Bethesda and Ubisoft. They got a lot of games. They got a lot of good games that would make a real good home on the Switch. To my knowledge, there is only one other game that we know is in development, even though it hasn't been officially announced yet. And it is Pikmin 4. Nintendo is weird about announcing Pikmin games. And I really don't know why. I don't know why they're so weird about it. Pikmin 3 was in development for like 9 years, and they kept telling us it was coming. Like, instead of just waiting until they had something to reveal, they're like, no, it's coming. Yeah, Pikmin 3's coming. Like, and then it finally came out. Okay, that was 5 years. Like, immediately after they released Pikmin 3, they were like, yeah, we're working on Pikmin 4. It's like, why do you just wait, man? Why do you do this? Why do you keep leading us along like this? What is it with Pikmin and you having this compulsion to just tell us that it's being worked on? It's probably Shigeru Miyamoto. He's probably just so excited about them that he wants to tell us that they're coming. So yeah, like technically we know they're working on it. They've been working on it for a long time. There've been a lot of weird, kind of conflicting statements on it. They said it was close to completion, but that was like 3 years ago. Who even knows? But it's been 5 years since Pikmin 3, so there was once a time when I thought it was decently likely that we would get a port of 3 before we got 4, but I feel like we've passed that time. That time has passed. It would have had to have been pretty early on, unless they're planning on sitting on 4 for another 2 or 3 years or something like that. I don't know. I think it's too late for a port of 3. I'm not going to say I expect it, but I will say that there's a pretty darn good chance. There's a pretty darn good chance they've finally got something to say about Pikmin 4. Especially because, games get announced and then they release sometimes a year later or even more. So it's like, at the very least, could you guys have a trailer for us or something by now? I don't know. Fingers crossed, obviously. So let's move on to rumors. Pokemon was going to be on this list, but you know how that went. I was going to do this video sooner, but it felt like an announcement for Pokemon was coming. So I waited, and I'm glad that I did, because it just seemed inevitable. All these rumors were coming out about Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. So, and by the way, they all ended up being completely true. That's the subject for another video, but I'm still completely just like, really? All that weird stuff we saw, including that one screenshot that looked so fake. It looked so fake. All real. All 100% real. So, anyway, that came out though, so that's not really a rumor to talk about anymore. Because of that, we don't have too many rumors to talk about. There were lots and lots of leaks of the entire presentation. I ignore those because they're always wrong. They're always wrong. Sometimes individual leaks and rumors end up being true, but I invite you to prove me wrong here. Has there ever been a time when the entire thing was leaked and ended up being right? Because there's just so many fake ones. People are still using, I think it's basically just a joke at this point, still using the same format on the printout where it's like, oh, Nintendo Direct, whatever, for internal use only. That's what makes it seem really legit. And then they list all the most bizarre, silly stuff. One was saying like Super Mario Odyssey DLC, but it lets you play as Luigi and Wario and Waluigi, and each one gives you an extra 70 moons. And it's just like, what is wrong with you guys? It's like, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. Anyway, so I ignore the ones that are just leaking the whole presentation, because like, how many people in this world even know about the whole presentation? Individual companies know, like, oh, my game is getting revealed. I know about my game, but like, who knows all of them? Not very many people. Anyway, that's the whole thing. One big rumor is Fortnite, and it's It's one of those things where it's not official until it's official, but the leaks seem pretty legit. Like it's one of those things where like enough people have commented on it, and then Walmart was revealing something or other. I know that's not always the best proof, but it just seems like it's pretty real. It's just a hair away from being actually confirmed. Everybody's basically treating it like it is confirmed because it just seems that real. I was already going to predict this one. It seemed like a no-brainer. It's no real surprise that it's coming to the Switch. Usually big popular games don't come to the Switch just because they're popular, but like this game in particular, well, it runs on mobile. It's not like a huge, crazy graphical EA developed thing. It's there's a mobile version of it. It's kind of a smaller game, probably from a smaller studio. So yeah, it only makes sense to put it on the Switch completely. And that's pretty cool because people are obviously really, really into Fortnite right now. So hey, that's a boon for the Switch. We got one rumor though. We got one fat daddy of a rumor. The rumor to end all rumors here. If you have been otherwise avoiding rumors online, I don't know how it's possible because everyone was talking about this, but if somehow you're watching this, but you haven't been listening to any other rumors and you don't want to be spoiled, this is the last thing I'm talking about. So turn off the video now, but here it is. Star Fox Grand Prix, or whatever it might end up being called. I feel like Grand Prix, it feels like a placeholder name. I hope, if it's true, if it's real, I hope it's not called that. It's just a very boring, kind of generic racing name. I feel like it could be something better. That was what people are saying, though, at least to what I remember, at least what I heard. Allegedly, from various sources, this is a racing game with Star Fox characters, but it's got like an adventure mode, kind of like Diddy Kong Racing, different levels and bosses and maybe like a hub world kind of thing, which is pretty all right. I mean, that whole thing was what made that game pretty cool. I'm not super into racing games, but if there's one thing that's going to get me into a racing game, it's going to be adventure elements. I think adventure elements just make everything better. There was a while where people were saying that it would be like F-Zero gameplay racing, but then a bunch of people jumped out and were like, no, that's really not it. It's more like Star Fox, like flying through space and shooting and doing dogfights and stuff. So who knows what's true, but it kind of sounded like it's like, no, the F-Zero thing, that was not really accurate. And this is like it's like a Rabbids situation, and a little bit like the Fortnite thing. It's like sometimes there's a rumor and it comes out and it's super weird and it's like, okay, this can't be real, and that's what I felt about Rabbids. But then more and more people start coming in and being like, yeah, this is true. Being like over here, like, oh yeah, I heard about that one too. Oh yeah, I got an uncle works at Ubisoft. He said this was true too. It's just one of those things where so many people are stepping up and kind of corroborating the evidence that it feels like all but confirmed at this point. Like it's still a really weird concept, but it feels like it's going to be real, and I'm kind of accepting it as though it is. And again, I didn't mention it. This would be a Retro Studios game. This would be the game that Retro Studios has been working on since Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. We've all been wondering, are they going to go back to Metroid? Although we knew they weren't going to do that. Are they going to go take some other series and make it into a thing? Are they going to create a new IP? Answer is kind of a mix of both. If this is true, they're taking Star Fox, doing something with that, but then also it's kind of its own brand new thing. And this is a weird idea, and I've been struggling with like how I feel about this idea for a while. I'm really bummed that things keep getting leaked like this. I'm really bummed that it's even possible for a big game, a big first-party Nintendo game, to get leaked ahead of time. But at the same time, it's just like with Rabbids, where I'm kind of happy in this case, because it's such a weird thing that it takes a while for my brain to process it. And I wouldn't want to be, because I record my reactions live, and I wouldn't want that to be revealed, and then I'm just sitting there being like, I don't know how to feel, and I would probably kind of lean toward the angry side, the kind of baffled, befuddled, kind of like, what? Why? You know what I mean? So in that sense, I'm kind of glad that it came early, so I got to really chew on it for a while. I'm still kind of undecided on what I feel about it, or, I don't know. It's super weird. I don't want to say too much, though, just because if it is a real thing, then I will be able to give you my real, actual impression of it. Just weird. I'm kind of intrigued, but I'm kind of worried too. I'm kind of like, that's neat. I like Diddy Kong Racing kind of style adventure thing. But also on the other side, I'm like, why didn't you just make a Diddy Kong Racing or a regular Star Fox? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, why another the number 1000th Star Fox that just couldn't be a regular Star Fox game? They still had to do something else with it. I don't understand. Anyway, though, that's happening. I mean, probably. It really feels like it is at this point. But we'll have to wait and see. Let's stop talking about it for now. We'll just have to wait and see for the big day if that is what Retro Studios is indeed working on. That's it for part 1 of the big fat E3 2018 pre-show, but stay tuned for part 2 where we dig into the really deep stuff. Predictions, my wish list, and the non-Nintendo stuff that you probably don't care about. See you there!